Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to James Madison University in this virtual orientation session. My name is Kirk Armstrong. I have the pleasure of serving as the academic unit head for the Department of Health Professions, and am joined today by one of my colleagues, Dr. Liz Edwards. She is the academic unit head for the Department of Kinesiology. And we are going to be sharing with you about what it's like to be a student in the College of Health and Behavioral Studies. And throughout this presentation, we are going to talk about some of the expectations of what it's like to be a student in the college, talk about some ways for you to get a sense of belonging. I know that's going to be an important aspect within your first semester, to develop some relationships across campus and get a sense of belonging within the college. And last, we're going to talk about some tips that we've curated for you. So I think both of us want this to be an interactive session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. We will try to answer them as we can. But first, just kind of want to see who's here. So if you could use your little reaction button to do a hands up. How many students are kinesiology students? Give me a thumbs up or a hand raise so we can see who you are. All right, Isaac and Kenneth, Kayla, looks like you're all kinesiology.
Nice, welcome everyone.
Who is a health sciences major? Give me a thumbs up or raise your hand there, please. Health sciences, Elizabeth, Jake, Sophia, Vicky. All right, welcome. Caroline, welcome to all of you. Last but not least, from health professions, raise your hand if you're a health services administration or a dietetics major. Anyone dietetics or health services administration?
Sorry, Kirk.
I didn't see any, that's okay. All right, so excuse me, to begin our presentation, first want to kind of give you just a little bit of an understanding of the structure of JMU. And we tell you this for two reasons. One, so that you get an understanding, but two, we also know how to direct problems in the future. So obviously we have the president that oversees all operations at the university. That's President Alger. He serves as our president. And then below him, we have 6 vice presidents, and each one of these vice presidents serves as the academic leader or the leader through one of our 6 divisions. Within academic affairs, that's that first green box there. Our vice president has a special title. Her name's Dr. Heather Coltman. She serves as the provost. And that is going to be our chief academic officer. So within academic affairs that oversees and runs all of our academic programs, she is our vice president that oversees that. Now, under her division, we have 7 academic colleges plus the honors college. So we have 8 colleges, and the college has the leading officer of a dean. So within our college, Health and Behavioral Studies, we're one of those 7. We have a dean. Her name is Sharon Lovell. She is an organizational psychologist. You may see her at some of your events. You may see her on campus. Stop her, say hello, let her know that you're a student, tell her your name, what your major is, and she would absolutely love to meet you. So we're going to hear a lot about the colleges over the next several weeks and years. And when we talk about the specific college, we're not talking about JMU, that's our university. When we talk about the colleges, we're talking about Health and Behavioral Studies, and you may hear that just abbreviated as CHBS. So that's the College of Health and Behavioral Studies, that's where we are. Within that college then, we have 8 different academic units, and we are the 3 represented across the top. Health Professions, which has undergraduate degrees in dietetics, undergraduate degrees in health services administration. Health Sciences, which is our largest undergraduate major at JMU. That has about 1,600 to 1,650 students. And then Kinesiology. So that is our other academic major. It has 1 academic major with 2 concentrations, a concentration in exercise science and a concentration in physical and health education, teacher education. And Dr. Edwards will talk a little bit more about that, as that's her area of expertise.
Yeah, so as Kirk said, these are we wanted to show you the names of the other 5 units in our college. As you can see, all of our units are united in that we are working on the health of our population of people in some different way. And so the three majors that are here represented today, health sciences really encompasses both health from a systems level, from a public health perspective, what can we be thinking on large scale can impact health, all the way down to that individual infectious disease, what is spreading between one person to another, how can we serve that? About half of their students are using this as a preparatory program for a professional program, medical school, dentistry, veterinarian, things like that. And about half will then go straight into the field as allied health professionals. In kinesiology, like Kirk said, we have two concentrations. Exercise science is our larger one. And there we study movement from every angle. So the biomechanics of movement, what's happening in the muscle, what's happening metabolically, psychologically, what makes us move, are all the things we talk about in kinesiology. Many of our students are preparing for physical therapy, occupational therapy, athletic training, physician assistant, and so on. And then our FEAT program, Physical Health Education Teacher Education, which is a mouthful, so we call it FEAT, prepares our students to be pre-K through 12. And then as Kirk said, we do have an undergraduate program in nutrition, which can prep you. Dietetics is moving to a master's nationwide, but this can prep you for a program in that, or health services administration, which is the business side of healthcare. We need qualified, educated people to run our facilities, our hospitals, and manage it from that side. All of these have a strong similar underpinning, both through gen ed and through the science aspect here. So there is some ability to shift within that first year, but as we start getting into the second and third year, it's going to be pretty important that you've settled down on the major that's right for you. And so when we look at where are we going, the first number here, I just want to show you really quickly is this 120. That is a super important number because you don't get a college degree without 120 college credits. That's common across all accredited undergraduate universities in the US. So 120 credits is the number we're getting to. If we kind of work backwards, a typical or standard college career is 4 years, 2 semesters, and at 15 credits per semester, that gets you to 120. Now, each of you are coming in with unique circumstances. Some of you may be bringing in credits. Some of you may be interested in summer school and other options like that. Some of you may be looking to go way above your 120 with double majors and things like that. And this is where your academic advisor can really come in. While we can kind of give you formulas, the reality is that each one of your circumstances is unique based on where you're coming from and also where you want to go. And so this is where your academic advisor comes in. They have access to all of your records to kind of look at you as a whole student and get to know you and help you figure out exactly how all of these pieces go together.
So when you look at the overlap that Liz talked about, you see that each one of our majors starts off with that really deep purple piece, and that's our general education. And there are 5 different distinct areas. And throughout that general education, regardless of your major, everyone across the institution has the same 41 credits. For many of you, as Liz said, through dual enrollment, through AP credit, you may have completed some or many, if not all, of these general education requirements. The other pieces, the lighter purple, the gold, and the gray are going to be what are very unique to each of your specific majors. Now, notice though that every one of our majors has that gray piece of the pie, some a little bit larger than others, and that's for those electives. And those electives are really a great opportunity for you to take a class or two that is going to help you to determine if there's maybe a minor that you're interested in. Maybe it's just a class or two that you're interested in that's going to help you stand out within your field. Those electives are going to be a really great way for you to help build your resume, help give you some opportunities for employment, internships, graduate school, whatever your next steps are after your undergraduate career. Those electives are a really great way to begin to solidify and help plan that. So again, work with your academic advisor so that you can talk about what electives you think you're interested in and what electives that you might be interested in or should consider based on what your respective major is.
The only thing I would add there is that we do let you double and even triple count classes. So if you see a biology class as part of your major that also meets a gen ed requirement, you get to use that one class for both. So you wouldn't have to take a second class. So that can help you find even more space for some of those electives. And so many of you, certainly not all of you, but many of you may be thinking that a graduate, specifically a professional school, is something you're interested in. We're honestly really fortunate here at JMU to have an entire office dedicated to advising pre-professional health. That's not something that you find at every college. And so these are the 9 pre-professional minors, so pre-professional meaning professional school, that we have here at JMU. And so what is a pre-professional minor? It is not required to go to athletic training school or med school. All they care is that you've taken the requisite coursework. But what our advisors here have done is they have looked at every medical school on the East Coast or every occupational therapy school, pulled together all of the courses that are required for the vast majority of schools and said, here's a package for you. This is what you need to take to be competitive. So they have done the work for you. So when you declare a minor, you get access to an advisor. So in addition to your first year advisor, you're also going to get a pre-professional health advisor, and they can offer a ton of valuable information in terms of what makes a person competitive for a specific school. And they can also help you. I just mentioned we can double count classes. For example, when I was a first year advisor and someone was telling me they were pre-physical therapy or pre-occupational therapy, there are certain classes I know that count for the minor that would also count for gen ed. So when I know that sooner, I can help you find those kind of synergies. So there is really no downside to declaring one of these minors. If you're even thinking about it, you could drop it at any time. And so all it does is sort of kind of put out there to your advisor your intent to help us identify, hey, this is a person we could help look at this a little bit deeper with. So today actually is the easiest day it would ever be. Your advisor can help you at it by just writing it in themselves. And so if you have not declared that already, I really encourage you to include that when you're talking to your first year advisor today. And then the last thing I'll add here is over here on the right-hand side, these are the 3 of these graduate programs that we do have here at JMU, where you could be a double Duke and stay here and go and join us for one of those programs.
The other thing I'll add is don't go it alone. There's, with all of these graduate programs, they have a centralized application process and different application timelines, and your pre-professional health advisor knows the timelines, knows the application process, is going to work with you on that. So that's a really great benefit to you. I think one of the hallmarks of your JMU education is the engagement that you're going to have. And through the College of Health and Behavioral Studies, we really epitomize the university's vision to be the national model of an engaged university, engaged with ideas in the world. If you haven't been to campus, I really look forward to welcoming you in August so that you get to see our state-of-the-art classrooms and laboratories. Anyone interested in study abroad, use your reactions to raise your hand or give me a thumbs up if you're interested in a study abroad. Okay, so a couple there were interested. So if you're interested in a study abroad, make a note, and we'll have a slide later that'd be something to talk to your academic advisor about now. We have options, whether it's a full semester where you get to complete some of your general education classes, or even short terms up to 2 to 3 weeks. We have lots of opportunities within the major, whether it's going to Australia as a kinesiology student working Australian rugby football, or whether it's going to Costa Rica through dietetics. We have lots of opportunities through all of our academic programs. And I think the last 2 hallmarks of our college are that we have lots of opportunities for engaged learning within the community. So whether it's a field work, a practicum, a clinical experience, whatever your respective program calls it, is you're going to get to apply that knowledge and skill directly with the patients or clients you're going to work with. So there's going to be lots of opportunities for that. And last but not least is interdisciplinary and interprofessional education. This is where you're going to get to learn with, from, and about students from other healthcare disciplines, because the reality of health and healthcare today is that very few, if any, people work in isolation. And so you need to know how to work with other students so that when you get to be a health or healthcare professional, you have those experiences of working together collaboratively, starting to see some of the challenges that you're going to see and be able to face those together and ultimately positively impact the patients or clients that you serve.
And so in addition to all of those opportunities that are going to be offered sort of from the direction of the department, our lab spaces, our clinical experiences. There are also a lot of other ways you can get involved with relevant organizations with other students here on campus. And so you can see here between health professions, health sciences, and kinesiology, each have several organizations that are geared towards connecting you with other students who have sort of some of the same professional goals as you. And those can be great ways to get service projects and get involved. We also have several that cross over our units, and instead of being unit specific, are more about kind of where we're going, including PEK, our honor society for health professions. I will selfishly plug a couple of kinesiology because you are welcome to get involved even if you're not kinesiology. Empowerment 3 is a center here in our department that works with persons with disabilities, both intellectual and physical, and allowing them to engage in physical activity in meaningful ways. And so it's a great way to get involved, to serve our community and get some of that practical experience that'll set you apart when you do go on to apply for jobs or grad school. And our other center that I'll highlight is the Morrison Bruce Center. And we serve women from our youngest participant last year was preschool age, 3 years old. Our oldest participant last year will turn 90 in December. So we serve women across the whole lifespan, and our students get to then take that highly technical knowledge and apply it in a preschool setting, then to adult women learning resistance training, and then to a retiree who's trying to maintain functionality. And so again, it's a great way to practice applying those skills.
So as we start to think about what it means to be in an academic mindset, we wanted to talk about some tips that we have for you. The first one is to attend class regularly. And what I want to add about this is that every faculty member may have a slightly different attendance policy. Within your syllabus will be the attendance policy, so make sure you know what that means for each course. And most importantly, look at the number of absences that you're allowed. And I'll give an example. Let's say that you're allowed 3 absences per class. Number one, if it's a Monday morning class at 8 a.m., number one might be you were intramural champions on Sunday, so you went to McAdoo's and you stayed out because you were celebrating and hanging out with your friends. Okay, that's great. Number two might be that you went home for the weekend, you had a family event that went a little longer on Sunday, and so then you miss a second Monday morning class, you email your faculty, let them know. Well, that's number two. Well, then unfortunately, let's say that you get sick, you catch the flu, you get a sinus infection, and you miss 3 days of class. So now you've got 3, 4, 5, and possibly 6. So that means that you're now up to 6 absences. And that could mean 3, 4, 5, or 4, 5, and 6 might mean that you're losing points. It might mean that assignments are no longer counted on those days. And the unfortunate thing is that there's nothing that we can do about it because that is how the syllabus is written, and that's the faculty's attendance policy. So recognize that if you're allowed a couple of absences, that if you use them because of fun activities or something else, that in the event that you do get sick, it might have some consequences. So just be careful of that. Number two, engage outside of class. Most all of us, and Liz and I both still teach, and that's one of our jobs, that part of our jobs that we really love is being in the classroom with all of you. You will need to engage outside of class. And for a typical class, that's going to mean about 2 to 3 hours outside of class for every hour that you're in class. So that means if you're taking 5 classes, which is pretty common, you can plan to spend about 10 to 20 hours a week outside of class studying. So this could look like a variety of different things: reading class material, reviewing class notes, looking at supplemental material. I teach statistics. I know that is no one's favorite class. It's very few people's favorite class. And statistics is not necessarily an easy concept. So for a lot of times I will do 3 to 5 minute how-to videos walking students how to do a specific statistic. Reviewing that video a couple times, watching the video, actually practicing it on your own. Those are great ways to spend time outside of class. You're going to know how you study best and how you learn best. So just figure out what's going to work for you, but do plan to spend some time. Attending office hours is going to be a really great way to connect with your faculty, get to meet them, get to learn a little bit about them, but also get some one-on-one time where you get to ask questions and get to go ask some of those in-depth questions and get some of that in-depth information that you didn't catch during the lecture. Or ask questions about things that you've read, or maybe something's confusing from your notes. So attend office hours and ask that. And lastly, find a way to get organized. You're going to be responsible for a number of different classes all at one time. And some of you had the experience in high school where a deadline wasn't really a deadline. You got to, as long as work was submitted by the end of the semester, that was okay. It's not that way in college. If there's an assignment due on Thursday, Thursday is the day that it's due, and late work is often not accepted. So whether it's your phone in the calendar on your phone, if you use a paper calendar, if you have some combination of both, find a way to get organized so that you know every week what assignments are due, and make sure that you carve out plenty of time so that you can do it, as well as ask questions to make sure that you understand the material that you're doing.
So these are some important dates. You're welcome to take a screenshot of this if you'd like. So first and foremost our first day of classes will be August 23rd. You'll be on campus for about a week by that point, but that's when we'll start. And then about a week and a half later, on September 1st, that is the end of add drop. And that's a really critical period there, because you can still make adjustments to your schedule at that point without penalty. So if you drop a class during that period, it doesn't show up on your transcript. You can still add a class up until that September 1st. Maybe someone else dropped a class that you wanted to get into. You are, however, still very much responsible for all of the material from day one. So if you join a class September 1st, you might have missed as many as 5 class periods. That's a lot. So I still recommend you try to come in with your schedule as set as possible. But this is that period. Then midterm grades are going to be available October 17th. So midterm grades are only officially done for first year students as a way for us to help you adjust, make sure that you're getting feedback and have a good idea of where you stand in the class. Those do not go on your transcript, meaning your final record, but they're there for your information. You get those October 17th. And then there are 2 kind of big things that happen right after that. One, you get to go home. We have fall break from the 18th to the 22nd. Fall break starts on the 18th, not the 17th. We already give you 3 class days, meaning a 5-day weekend. Faculty will have things on Monday and Tuesday. Do not try to squeak that into Tuesday and miss a class there. It's not going to work out for you. So you get to go home, you get some rest and relaxation. It's also maybe a chance to just reset if things aren't going the way you think. How can we come back and approach it fresh after that? Talking to family, friends, even your faculty about how could I maybe change some perspectives. But also right after midterm grades is the withdraw deadline. Withdrawing from a class is different than dropping. So when you withdraw from a class, that attempt stays on your transcript. So when we looked later, it might say KIN 100, Lifetime Fitness and Wellness, but instead of a grade, it would have a W, meaning it does not negatively impact your GPA. So if we are to the point where there is no way to save a grade in a class, this can be something that's worth doing. Is one withdrawal generally going to be a big deal on a whole transcript of successful studies? No. If it starts to become a pattern, it can, and it can also become a pattern or a problem if it's taking you down below that full time. So back on that slide about 120 credits, I forgot to point out that 12 credits is also a magic number. 12 credits is full-time status. And when we drop below 12 credits in any given semester, that can influence financial aid, that can influence your status as a full-time student, which is tied to your fees and then therefore to your access to UREC and food and all of these things that can, I'm not saying they all do, but those all become things you have to sort out if you are withdrawing from classes and going below 12 credits. We do have a full week for Thanksgiving break. So you can see there the 20th through the 24th. Again, please work, whether it's you're planning yourself or with your family, to leave after your last class, the Friday before break. Faculty are using that time. That is instructional time that you've already paid for. So we give you the full week, which means 9 days, including the weekends. So try to make sure that you have accounted for leaving after your last class and coming back Sunday, being back well in time to be ready for Monday class. Because I will tell you from experience, we come back from Thanksgiving, it is 2 weeks pretty hard of class because we are trying to wrap up everything from the semester right into finals. And so you do want to come back ready to go. Our last day of finals will be December 16th. As soon as you have your course schedules finalized, you can actually look up the JMU final exam schedule. You could look it up now. It's based on what days your class is on and what times they're on. And so you can determine that now. So again, travel plans need to be made for after your last final exam. Faculty are not allowed to move your final exams. In fact, they are quite strict on this. So if you come to us and like, my parents booked a plane ticket to Hawaii. Sorry, by academic policy, I cannot move that, okay? And then finally, we do get a whole month break before the spring semester begins, and we'll be coming back right after Martin Luther King Day on January 16th.
So how to handle an issue as it arises, because inevitably something is not going to go right, whether it's a roommate conflict or a problem with a faculty member, a problem in a course or a question. First and foremost, start with the individual faculty member themselves. That is going to be your best course of action to start with. The faculty member, if that's where your conflict arises, that might feel kind of sticky and something that's not really comfortable. So maybe go to your academic advisor. Your academic advisor will be someone that can help you to problem solve, maybe give you some talking points. And if your academic advisor is unavailable, then contact Liz, I, or Catherine Zeman as the academic unit head. We would be glad to talk with you about the problem. Per academic policy, the first question that we're going to ask you is, have you met with the faculty member? And if you say no, then we have to, based on policy, send you back to the faculty member. But again, the great thing is that I know all of us are seasoned faculty members, and we want you to be successful in this conversation. So we're going to give you some tips. We're going to give you some strategies how to have that. I will often role play. I'll say, I'll be the faculty member, you be you, and let's have this conversation. And if you start to say something that is going to put me as the faculty on defensive, I'm going to stop you and say, all right, let's come at this. Let's approach this a little differently. You're frustrated. Let's take the emotion out. Let's back it down from a 9 intensity to about a 2. And let's start over, and we're going to work with you on that so that when you go to the faculty, you can have a good outcome that's going to benefit you, that also is going to make the faculty happy. The other thing I will suggest you not do is, on the very first slide, we talked about the president and the provost. It is not, I'm not going to encourage you to email them, because here's what happens. You email the president, someone in his office will review that email and say, okay, Preston's name is on the first on my screen. So Preston emailed the president. Preston's got a concern with kinesiology 100, that's academic affairs. So then it gets sent to that vice president. So someone in the provost's office reads that email a couple days later and says, okay, Preston's got a concern from kinesiology 100, that's College of Health and Behavioral Studies. So then it goes to the dean's office, and the dean reads it and says, all right, Preston's got a concern, Kin 100, that's going to go to Liz. And so it goes down to Liz. By now, it's taken 3, 4, maybe a week for this to get to Liz, and it could have been something that could have been handled in that time had you went to your faculty member directly, you came to your advisor, you came to Liz. So save yourself that time, come talk to us, talk to your academic advisor if you're not comfortable talking to the faculty, and we'll help you facilitate that conversation.
And so just building on that, some of the things we really encourage you to think about and start from day one, start to get to know your faculty. I know that can feel hard when you're in a gen ed and maybe you're not quite as connected to that area, or maybe the class is a little bit larger. But what we know from both experience as educators for many years, as well as concrete research, is that students who develop a relationship with their faculty members do better, period. Do better in class, do better in their job placements, do better getting into graduate school. So going and reaching out and finding that faculty member. You know, I see so many times students, you know, in class, they're in chem, they're in bio, they're in Dr. Armstrong's stats class, and they're, yep, I get that. When he says it, it makes perfect sense. And then they go to read it laterly because they're engaged and they're reading those materials outside of class. And then they're like, nope, doesn't make sense. Go talk to your faculty member, then go to those office hours and ask that question. And if you're not sure what to ask them how they got here. Ask them about their research. Every single faculty member here will be happy to engage with you and tell you how they got to that place. Participate in research. Even if you just start as a subject, figure out what does exercise science research look like from the subject side. And then that's an into, hey, could I volunteer here? Yeah, absolutely, you can. What does that look like? I cannot overstate what Dr. Armstrong already said about attending class. If there is one single thing you are going to do, physically go to class. Point blank. Be present in class. Go. Next level, though, is to not just be a bump on a log in class. After you're there, be prepared, have read the material so that you're not just trying to scramble to keep up with what they're saying, but you're actually connecting, oh, I didn't quite get that when I read it. I get it now, hearing it a second time, hearing them explain it, all of that. And then start to review it right after, those good study habits. As Dr. Armstrong said, 2 to 3 hours per hour of class. And it's really, really easy and tempting the first couple of weeks of class when everything is due, the sun is outside, to not start to develop those study habits. Then 4 or 5 weeks in, those first quizzes, those first tests, those first assignments start hitting. It's going to be tough if that's the first time you're engaging with that material out of class. So the more you can start to build those habits and keep up along the way, one, it helps you figure out where those gaps are so that you can go seek out that faculty member ahead of time. And it keeps you from having this, oh my gosh, I just don't even understand what's going on. And then last is get involved on campus. There's a reason you chose a brick and mortar campus experience like JMU. And I think you made the right decision, but it's because of all of the amazing opportunities that there are on this campus to get involved in purely fun activities, student organizations that just relate to interest, to get involved in community service and things like that, to research, all of these things. Look into those things. With a student body of over 20,000 people, everyone can find a home here. Sometimes you might have to go look for it though. Sometimes you might have to go try out a different student org here or there until you find those people who are just like, yes, this is where I belong here. And we really want you all to have that. Just remember in all of this that it's all about balance. Obviously, academics have got to be up there. You're paying a lot of money to come here for this academic experience. That should stay top priority. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to set ourselves up for success with good sleep. I know that's hard in dorms, with good physical activity, with good study habits and nutrition habits. And then we do need to build in that interpersonal, that emotional, that kind of wellness. What are the things that fill your cup in terms of clubs and things that you just look forward to that bring you that joy?
So some other tips that we've curated, I'm not going to read every one of these. I want to just focus on one of them, and that's the peer assisted study sessions, or what we call commonly referred to as PASS. This is a student-led and student-facilitated group. I would encourage you to use this because in health and healthcare, there's the old adage of see one, do one, teach one, and the PASS, or peer assisted study sessions, really emphasize that. You're going to see it in class. You're going to do it either on your own or in your small group with your peers, and then you'll get to teach it. And what is really great about the peer assisted study session, whether you go to the formal through the Student Success Center or you develop them on your own, is if Dr. Edwards and I are partners, I might understand something that she doesn't understand. She's going to understand something I don't understand, and we get to teach each other that material. And the great thing about that is it's not coming from my perspective as a faculty member. It's coming from a peer as a student. So they're going to state it a little differently than what I did as a faculty member, and probably help you understand it a little bit more. And that's what the great thing about the peer assisted study sessions are. They allow you to learn with and from each other. It's going to give you a deeper understanding. I know as a student myself, both in my undergrad as well as a grad student, study sessions with peers were probably the most beneficial thing because everybody understands something differently. There's overlap. And when you get 2, 3, 4 people around the table, if you have a question, every time we always found someone in the group could answer that question no matter who asked it. So take advantage of that. In student success, we also have a math and learning center, a university writing center, and support for students where English is not your primary language. So do seek out those. The Math and Science Center is great if you're having any struggles with chemistry, which was not my favorite subject or my best, physics, biology. And then the Writing Center is great because it's going to help you with any sort of first year writing course, as well as you get into some of those upper level writing courses, or when you get into your major specific classes that have writing assignments. Take advantage of those resources.
And then in addition to those academic resources, we also have resources to support you on your journey as a whole. So we've got the Career Center, which can help you if you're not sure that you're on the right path. They can do things like help talk through some different options, even some aptitude kind of testing. We have the Counseling Center here on campus that provides many different options. Primarily through them, you're going to have access to group counseling. Individual counseling is done on a limited basis. But if you ever need access to someone to talk to right now, during business hours, you can walk into the University Counseling Center, or we provide all of our students access to immediate mental health care through an app called Timely Care. And so all students already have access. You can log on at any time and talk to a mental health provider right then. And then finally, ODS, or Office of Disability Services, is who coordinates our accommodations, whether that be maybe something with test taking or something with sight, any kind of range of accommodations needed. If that is something that applies to you, I strongly encourage you to start that process of documentation with them ASAP. It takes a couple of weeks to get that documentation all the way through the system. And if they can send that information out to your professors right at the beginning of class, then we can be meeting your needs from day one, as opposed to if I, as a faculty member, don't find out until a month in that there are some specific needs I need to accommodate, then I regret the month that I couldn't meet your needs.
And ultimately, this is your goal. And before you know it, graduation will be here, and this will be your view. You will be sitting in the seats within the Atlantic Union Bank Center. This is our view as the academic unit head from the stage, and this is just our College of Health and Behavioral Studies. So there were about 12,000 people this past May in attendance to watch the commencement ceremony. And believe it or not, it's going to be here. But ultimately, your goal should be to get here, and our goal is to help you succeed. So we are here to help you to be successful. We're here to help you along the way. So if there's anything that we can do, please don't hesitate to reach out, whether it's to Dr. Zeman, to Dr. Edwards, or myself. We're all here to help you and want to ensure that you will be successful in reaching your graduation day.
All right, so in closing, here are each of our department email addresses. That's the kind of place you can send any kind of question you have. You'll also later today get to meet your first year advisor. And so I know that this is an online forum and it's tougher to engage, but particularly with that first year advisor, if you possibly can, turn on the camera, talk to them, engage with them, because they are that person who can see the whole picture for you. And so we really want to encourage you to start building that relationship today. So I'm going to stop sharing the PowerPoint now, but we've got about 5 minutes here for questions, and we would love to answer any questions that you have.
If you don't want to raise your hand, you can always pop a question in the chat. Either way, we will be glad to answer any questions for you.
So to touch more on double majoring with health sciences. Thanks, Caroline. And so one, it's possible. Let me just say that off the bat. Health sciences does have a big major. So it's going to depend a little bit on what you want to double major with. So Double majoring with another science is likely to have a fair amount of overlap. Double majoring with a liberal arts, like in Spanish or foreign language or things like that, there's going to be more creativity needed in finding the exact sequence, because both things like sciences and foreign languages can have sequences that we need to help you kind of get through. That's not to say you can absolutely do it, and it can be a great way. Health sciences and all three of our fields here today are really ripe for double majoring, because some of the best healthcare practitioners we know are those that come with some of that outside perspective, something that goes beyond just the science. So does that answer your question, or is there anything we could answer a little bit more specifically for you? I would say, while you're maybe thinking about any follow-up, is that if you're thinking of double majoring or majoring with a minor, the sooner you can tell your advisor that, the better, because I definitely, when I was a first year advisor, would have sort of a mental checklist of these are top priorities. I've got to get them started here. This one, I generally tell my first years to take, but can actually be delayed for something like that. And so it's absolutely possible. And they can also help you explore what that would look like. You know, for example, when I was a first year advisor, I would help mock up maybe 2 different 4-year plans. What might that look like if you did want to add that major, or was there a minor, things like that.
I received a question that said, do you have any information about work studies? Absolutely, great question. I just posted in the chat a link to our job links. That's our job portal on campus. And when you click that link, you're going to see that there's options for faculty, staff, students, graduate assistants. You click the students button, and there, I think it said there are 17 student positions open right now. If you are eligible for federal work studies, FWS, then there will, within the position, it will say that some of the jobs are very specific for FWS or federal work studies. So right now, the third position down says pharmacy assistant, FWS. That is for federal work studies. And that is a specific job for an individual that has, through their financial aid, they're eligible for work studies. So that's a great question. Does that give you an answer? Even if you're not federal work studies, IE is institutional employment. So you'll see that there's a number of other jobs that are available. Intramural sports has some positions available. The Forbes Center for Visual and Performing Arts has some. The University Career Center. So there's a number of positions also that are available for not only work studies, but also for general student employment. Follow-up question, do you know if we have to start work study right away, or can we wait? Is there a certain date to start? I got a scholarship, want to know if I don't have to start right away. No, you don't have to start right away, but I will say that the longer you wait, the fewer positions are going to be available. So right now, throughout the first, probably now through the beginning of classes, are when you're going to see the largest collection of federal work studies jobs that are going to be posted. But then you will see also in the spring semester, about as we're getting to December and into January, the start of the new semester, you're going to see another series of jobs that are posted. So if you don't want to, if there's nothing that you see that's of interest right now, you don't necessarily have to apply. You can wait till the spring semester to get started. Great question. All right, I think we have about 1 minute left. Are there any additional questions? If you're shy, if you do have any questions that come up, our contact information is all over the JMU websites. Look at our departments, click the contact us. We're happy to help. Other than that, thank you for your participation today, and we look forward to welcoming you in about 3.5 weeks. It's going to be here before you know it. So enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your summer, and we will look forward to welcoming you physically on campus in about 3 weeks.
Bye,
Next
everyone.
session will be starting in about 10 minutes with your advisors. So